On Wednesday's Wales at 6, out as Wales' most capped and top scoring footballer.
She stood up for a generation of young girls who hadn't had access to football in the way they should have.
Also on the programme tonight. Jess went through early menopause to survive a misdiagnosed cancer. Now pressure's mounting on the Welsh Government over women's cancer care. Plus, the 10-year-old snapping up national awards for her wildlife photography. And preserving the past for generations to come, why Anglesey's heritage is set for a cash boost. Hello, good evening. The word legend can be overused in sport, but it feels like an apt description for footballer Jess Fishlock. 165 Wales appearances, a record tally of goals and a starring role in the team that reached its first ever major tournament this summer. Her record certainly speaks for itself. So today's news that the 38-year-old will be hanging up her international boots after next month's friendly against Australia has unsurprisingly been greeted with glowing tributes. Our sports reporter Matt Southcombe is in Cardiff for us tonight, where Jess's love affair with the game began, Matt, and it's been some career, hasn't it?
Well, Katie, put simply, Jess Fishlock dedicated her entire life to becoming the best footballer she could possibly be. From a young age on these streets of Cardiff, she threw herself into a career that simply at the time didn't exist, but she pursued it and she went on to achieve it. She ends her international career as our nation's most capped player and top goal scorer, female or male. She will always be remembered as one of the greatest to ever pull on the red jersey. She's pulled on the red jersey a remarkable 165 times, and the 166th will be her last. Today she announced her retirement from international football, and in a statement she said, "Never did I imagine I would have the honour of representing my Cymru more than 150 times. Every minute was a pleasure, a privilege and an honour. The Euros was the pinnacle of my football career. Seeing the Dragon on the world stage for the first time will be a memory that will stay with me for a lifetime. The journey the women's game in Wales has taken has been incredible, and things can only continue to grow. The future is bright for our country." Her exploits between the white lines have grabbed headlines, but her influence extends far beyond the field of play. She's used her profile to advocate for inclusion and equality in both sports and society.
She stood up for a generation of young girls who hadn't had access to football in the way they should have. She stood up for important social causes in a way that I'm afraid a lot of the male players haven't done for whatever reason. She was an icon of equality and LGBT rights and things that come well beyond her contribution on the pitch. And I think let's celebrate having had one of the all-time greatest players in women's football coming from a nation like ours.
Fishlock is one of a handful of players to see women's football in Wales transformed beyond all recognition.
We played in the men's cast-off kit. We had coaches that probably weren't the right level for what we needed to become technically better. We were deprived of friendlies to prepare, and yet we did it because we cared passionately about playing for Wales. And Jess tasted a little bit of that, and I think that angered her. It made her more determined to propel Welsh football and women's football particularly forward. And she was instrumental in that. You know.
Jess Fishlock leaves the jersey in a better place than she found it, something she says is her greatest achievement. And she's been more than an incredibly talented athlete. She's been a trailblazer, and Welsh football has been lucky to have her. Well, as we were coming on the air this evening, I spoke to Wales captain Angharad James, who's a long-time friend, of course, of Jess Fishlock, and she sent me this message to read out on air. She said, "Jess's career stats speak for themselves. She's dedicated 19 years to Cymru, and it's her biggest honour. She has changed the game for Welsh women's football. She's been the heartbeat both on and off the field. Her presence will be missed both on and off the field. And what better way to sign off her international career by being the first Welsh woman to score a goal at a major tournament. And I'm delighted now to be joined by the FAW CEO, Noel Mooney. Noel, can you just sum up Jess's contribution to Welsh football?
Well, there's not enough superlatives, I'd say, for Jess. A role model and icon. I mean, you see the young girls training here tonight in Clanrumney. Jess started here and has gone to the very top of the world. In Cymru, we're so lucky to have had her as our talisman, if you will. 166 caps against Australia. It'll be 38 goals. I'm told she played more than 2/3 of Cymru's matches for the women's national team. So she's built up the Welsh game a lot on her shoulders. I mean, we at the FAW interact with her a lot on, I suppose, what we've built so far, which culminated in that fairy tale story of her qualifying for Euro 25, our first major tournament for the women's game. But also the future. I mean, we would consult with Jess and the leadership team, and Jess is really at the heartbeat of that, of what the future looks like. Getting to Euros was just the start for us. It's what happens in the future, and Jess will have laid the platform and signed off against Australia on the 25th of October. With a major tournament and, as I say, 166 caps, incredible.
And just as well, you talk about the girls behind us. Jess has paved the way for these girls, and now I guess it's incumbent on people like the FAW to build on what Jess has done.
Oh, definitely. I mean, our strategy for the long term to grow the women's game is exponential. We can see we're about to pass 20,000 participants. It's just growing all the time with new pitches opening, more and more coaches, more match officials coming to the game. But Jess has played an incredible role in that and will continue to, I hope, in the future. I hope that one day she might replace myself when the time is right at the FAW and drive the game forward. But she's just, we're so lucky. I don't know if people here, Rian has said it a few times, realise that all around the world, when you speak about top footballers, Jess Fishlock's name is mentioned in amongst all them. And of course it's bittersweet for her to end. It has to end sometime, but now's the right time on the back of that first major tournament. But we look forward to working with Jess in the future to continue to build the game across Cymru.
Lovely. Noel Mooney, thank you very much for joining us this evening. So there we have it, Katie. A phenomenal career, and Jess Fishlock's legacy is cemented, definitely.
Matt, some lovely tributes tonight and well deserved. Thanks very much indeed. Elsewhere tonight, a leading charity has described Welsh Government progress on improving the treatment of women with gynecological cancers as slow or absent. It's almost 2 years since a Senedd committee made 26 recommendations to improve services here. But campaigners say change isn't happening quickly enough, or in some cases at all. Isa Farfor has been to meet one woman who's felt the impact.
Here, you hungry?
Yeah.
Do you want to go for food?
Jess is enjoying some precious time with her only son, TJ. She'd hoped for a bigger family, but gynecological cancer made that impossible. Treatment saved her life, but it changed her life too.
It was a shock at first. Nobody mentioned the cancer to me at all. Nobody suggested it could be it or anything. So to hear those words was a complete and utter shock to us. My first thought was, am I going to survive? How severe it was, and how was this not seen?
It's been a long and painful journey, months of uncertainty chasing answers before finally being told she had cancer in her cervix and womb.
Extremely frustrated. Like I said, after years of chasing, to eventually be told that I had a 6.5 centimetre tumour was unbelievable. I couldn't really comprehend it. To think I was examined not even a year before and said that I had an infection, to go to a 6.5 centimetre tumour, how did they not see it? Unbelievable.
Thousands of women in Wales are affected by gynecological cancers every year. But campaigners say these cancers still don't get the attention or the action they deserve, despite repeated promises of change. Today, Welsh Government ministers answered claims that they have been too slow to act on a Senedd committee report from 2023, which made 26 recommendations, including accountability, emergency care, and how patient feedback is shaping policy.
Looking at the recommendations, I think there has been progress, but the fundamental question, of course, is has the overall experience of women with gynecological cancer improved to where you want it to be? And the answer to that clearly is not yet. The letter sets out where we have, I think, made progress against a number of the recommendations, but clearly there are some recommendations where where the work is still underway.
Jess's story is one of many that prompted campaigners, including those inspired by Claire O'Shea, who died from cancer earlier this year, to demand answers. They want gynecological cancers included in Wales's Women's Health Plan.
Just because Claire died in May doesn't mean that her legacy can't live on, and we're really committed to making sure that we get those recommendations implemented so that we can improve outcomes for women with gynae cancer in Wales.
Behind every misdiagnosis is a devastated family. They say they want more than just words. They want action to ensure no woman is left unheard again. Isa Farfour, ITV News.
Figures have revealed that energy debt has reached its highest level in 8 years. A survey by Uswitch found that overall households are entering the colder months owing £780 million to their energy suppliers. A total of 3.5 million homes are in debt to their provider, a rise of 46% from last year. A coroner has ruled that a 5-year-old boy who drowned on the Greek holiday island of Kos died in an accident. Theo Trahan-Jones was abroad with his family when he was found in a swimming pool at the holiday resort in 2019. Hamish Alscary is outside Pontypridd Coroner's Court for us this evening. So, Hamish, what else was said today?
Well, Katie, this would have been another devastating, heartbreaking process for the parents of Theo Trahan-Jones, who died on holiday more than 6 years ago in Greece. The happy, loving and affectionate 5-year-old was staying at a resort in Kos when he fell into the swimming pool at the hotel. The inquest has concluded his death was an accident. Theo lived with a developmental disorder which affected his sleep and his ability to sense danger, and therefore his parents said they were alert to the danger or the possibility of him being able to open the hotel room door himself, and they tried to barricade the door with buggies and cases to try and avoid that happening, but ultimately he was able to open it himself. Nina Trahan, Theo's mother, said she woke in June 2019 to the sounds of screaming when someone said they had seen a child in a swimming pool, and despite being given CPR at the scene and then taken to hospital, Theo was tragically later pronounced dead.
And Hamish, what did the inquest hear about preventing future accidents?
Well, a health and safety representative from TUI said they had considered putting chains on the doors of hotels that they book following this incident, but they said that would lead to fire safety concerns. They say that physical barriers around pools may create an additional risk. We have incidentally contacted TUI for comment today at the end of this inquest, but ultimately the assistant coroner Gavin Knott said that he would issue a prevention of future death notice to TUI and ABTA, the trade association body for UK travel agents, to encourage them to re-examine the specific circumstances surrounding this tragic accident.
Hamish, outside Pontypridd Coroner's Court for us this evening. Thank you very much. Well, thanks for being with us this evening. Still to come on the programme. How 10-year-old Jamie went from capturing the creatures in her Llandrindod Wells garden to snapping up national awards in London.
I'd love to just show people how amazing wildlife is, as when people fall in love with wildlife, they want to protect it.
And it's been a fairly quiet but rather cloudy Wednesday for many, but how's it looking as we approach the weekend? Join me later to find out.
All that to come. But first, a university sports club has been suspended following claims of degrading initiation ceremonies, which allegedly saw a player's head forced down a toilet. Cardiff University Cricket Society says it's investigating the claims. Well, Carl is in the newsroom for us. Carl, what more can you tell us?
Well, Katie, as you say, these are pretty disturbing claims tonight. As you said, the Men's Cricket Society at Cardiff Uni has been effectively banned, for now at least, banned from the Students' Union over these allegations that players' heads were flushed down toilets as part of alcohol-fuelled initiation ceremonies. Now, I should stress these are claims from some students that reported those claims to newspaper journalists, saying they witnessed other degrading acts too, aside from the toilet flushing. shouting, claims of people being forced to put wet socks in their mouths while being verbally abused, and others forced to eat raw onions.
So what's the response been from the university then?
Well, Katie, at the time, it may have felt for some that this was a bit of horseplay, a bit of boisterous banter on a squad social, but it is, of course, rightly being taken very seriously. Cardiff Students' Union confirmed to ITV News the suspension of this group while investigations are carried out. Cardiff University said it has a zero-tolerance approach towards initiations and that such behaviours will not be tolerated. And we've had a statement too from the Men's Cricket Club itself. It says, "We're fully cooperating with Cardiff Students' Union and their investigation. We care about our members and want to make sure that our club continues to be a positive and inclusive community."
OK, Carl Edwards in the newsroom for us. Thanks very much. Now, does Wales do enough to mark St David's Day? It seems the Welsh Government thinks not, as today it announced £1 million to fund next year's celebrations. Grants of up to £40,000 will be available for St David's Day projects, as Megan Boot reports.
In a building that combines history and innovation, the launch of a new fund to celebrate the man this choir is singing about, St David. Gwenno David helped write this song and is delighted the money will be up for grabs for local, regional and national celebrations.
We need to actually feel that our Welshness belongs to all of us, no matter where we are, whether that's Flint or the Cynon Valley or wherever, or the peripheral areas. We're all Welsh. We all belong to this amazing place. And I want to see next year St David being at the forefront of our celebrations of our National Day.
On last night's sharp end, whilst the fund was welcomed, could it go further?
I'd like to see the strategy behind that, because I think there's real potential here, real potential to sell Wales to the world.
But today's launch was more about the home front, so the government missing a trick.
Isn't this an opportunity to build brand Wales, and shouldn't it be doing it on sort of a bigger scale than this?
Well, we're starting off and we'll see how this goes, but the key thing is that I want communities to own this. I want it to come from the bottom up, but we're trying to give them a helping hand with a little bit of money to get them going, to get the community together. We need to lift people's spirits. We need to inject a bit of hope into our communities, and I hope we can do that on St David's Day.
Phil's been involved with lots of organisations in Maesteg and further afield, and he thinks the impact of this will go beyond one day.
Oh, I think it's important that it allows the community to develop, to enhance what is already in existence, to move forward, to be more sustainable, more cohesive, more beneficial for everyone, young and old people as well.
So the last song of the event, the anthem, which was first sung in this very town 169 years ago, with next year hopes that more of us will be joining in. Megan Boot, ITV News, in Maesteg.
Now, capturing wildlife on camera calls for a good eye, a willingness to get cold and wet, and above all, lots of patience. Skills Jamie Smart from Llandrindod Wells has in abundance. That's one of hers. And now the 10-year-old has been recognised with a prize in the prestigious Wildlife Photographer of the Year Awards, which were held in London last night. Carol Green has more.
An award-winning moment. An orb weaver spider captured by a 10-year-old photographer with an extraordinary talent.
One morning, it'd been a very cold night, so everything was covered in water droplets. So I went out to look for bugs, and I spotted this little funnel on top of a dead dock leaf. I didn't even see the spider at first, I just saw this funnel covered in water droplets. Then I looked closer and I saw the spider, and I thought it would make quite a cute image.
Not just a cute image, but an award-winning one. in the Wildlife Photographer of the Year competition.
And this actually won the 10 and under category, which is absolutely amazing. Oh, it's unbelievable. Words don't really describe how happy I am. It's always been a goal of mine to even just get a highly commended in this competition, but to have 3 images in the top 100 in 60,000 entries is very special. This was a picture of a male red deer stag called the monarch stag because he has over 16 points on his antlers at Bradgate Park in Leicestershire.
Jamie began to develop her eye and skill in her back garden.
I was 6.5 actually. Then I was using binoculars, but I found it really hard focusing on wildlife before the mammal ran away or the bird flew off. So Dad asked if I'd like to use a camera, but I didn't want to drop the camera because I knew how expensive it was. But when I started getting pictures of sparrows in the bushes and things around the garden, I improved on my photography, and that's where it all started.
But capturing the weaver spider in its silken retreat wasn't easy.
It may not look like that deep of a funnel in the picture, but I was struggling to get the light to penetrate to the spider so you could actually see it, so I kept adjusting my angle and my settings and I managed to capture this image. It's always, you've got to be patient with the animal, especially in wildlife photography, because you never know what that animal's going to do. And another thing with this one is that the spider was starting to move and twitch when the sun was rising because it was getting warmer, so it is sort of a rush against time too.
Now Jamie hopes her win, celebrated at the Natural History Museum in London, will inspire others to help protect the natural world. Carol Green, ITV News.
Oh, what an incredible young talent. Now, let's find out what is coming up on the ITV Evening News.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, there are mounting calls for vets to tell pet owners the real cost of treatment as vet prices rise more than 60% in just 7 years. The government promises to publish evidence related to the China spying controversy amid growing pressure over its handling of the case. And the Royal Albert Hall's seats are reinforced and noodles run out as sumo returns to London. Well, do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, Wales has no shortage of natural beauty, does it? Perhaps one reason why Anglesey has been chosen to receive a share of £200 million worth of investment from the National Lottery. The money is meant to connect people to heritage in the places they live, work and visit. And Joanne Gallagher is on Ynys Môn for us tonight. Jo, a worthy recipient of the money there, as we can see. Wow.
Oh, absolutely. People who work here, who live here, are very happy to hear about this news that was, of course, announced today. Now, it's very cold on the island this evening, but that isn't dampening spirits. As you say, there's a £20 million pot of money. 6 places can bid for some of that cash, including Anglesey, the only place in Wales on this round, and people here are delighted.
Ynys Môn is a captivating Welsh island, known for its natural beauty and rich heritage. And now it's getting cash to regenerate its past even further.
Well, today we've named Anglesey as one of 6 places across the UK that are going to benefit from a share of £200 million of lottery players' money that will invest in that connection with place, centring heritage in the local economies, in communities and in a vision for the future of Ynys Môn.
And what are you hoping the island and the people that live here will get from this funding?
We hope it will really benefit future generations through the preservation of things from the past, anything from the past that is worth preserving and passing on to future generations.
South of the rich colours of the Paris Mountain in Amlwch lies Beaumaris, the island's former county town. It's steeped in history and visitors here welcome further investment on the island.
I think it's fantastic. It has got so much history to the place, ancient history as well as more local history with the structures, the stone circles, the monuments. The bridge, for example, I think there's so much to do. It's lovely.
There's lots of lovely little villages that are really, really old and gorgeous to see. Anything that makes more jobs as well for the locals will always be welcomed. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic thing.
Some beautiful places, some really interesting places, isn't there? Newborough Forest. Yesterday we were over there, weren't we? Looking at the pilot cottages and all that area there, and I just love that. So yeah.
And is there enough heritage for dogs?
Yeah.
So far, wherever we've been very dog friendly.
Now I've climbed the top of the Tor Marquis and have been rewarded with these fantastic views around me of the Menai Straits, the Britannia Bridge and the Menai Bridge. Now, this famous column actually got money from the National Lottery Heritage Fund, and now Ynys Môn Anglesey Council are hoping that other tourist attractions can reach the same dizzy heights.
I think the north of the island is where we really want to concentrate our efforts and try and generate a bit more interest from the tourism angle. We get a lot of cruise ships coming into Holyhead every year. Unfortunately, most of the people coming on those cruise ships tend to go off the island to visit places like Carnarvon and Conwy. Let's try and keep them on Ynys Môn.
I'm sure this former Marquis of Anglesey would agree. And there's certainly a lot for the island to reflect on.
Now, this £200 million will not be divvied up equally amongst the towns that have been announced today. So it's going to be down to local communities, to the local council, to get those bids in, to say what they want to promote, what heritage needs to be restored and kept for future generations here on this historical island. Now, they have got some ideas. They're remaining tight-lipped. They're not saying anything specifically, but likely to be in the north of the county. So think Holyhead, think Amlwch, and this has come at a good time for the council. Budgets are tight. They're having to spend their cash on things like picking up the rubbish and social services. Tourism is something they don't have the spare money for. So they're very grateful to receive this. Now, when I asked people locally what they wanted the money spent on, the bridge kept coming up. They want that third crossing. Sadly, the money isn't going to be enough, and that project isn't for that.
OK, well, it certainly looks beautiful tonight, Jo. Thank you very much indeed. Time to find out what the weather has in store now with Amanda.
Hello again. Hope you've all had a lovely day so far. Well, the weather has been fairly quiet across the country throughout today, and we are expecting more of the same as we go through the next couple of days because high pressure is still dominating, albeit quite a cloudy high at times, but it should be staying largely dry. That is until we reach the weekend. So in the short term, as I say, high pressure dominating. It's blocking weather systems working their way towards us, keeping us largely dry. But you can see as we edge towards Saturday, that high pressure will pull out of the way, and that's going to allow low pressure to sweep in off the Atlantic, eventually bringing some stronger winds and some outbreaks of rain too. But before we get to that, plenty of calm weather still around, and as we go through tonight, a mix of cloud and clear skies. Now, because we've got those light winds tonight mixed with those clear skies, we're going to see a few pockets of mist and fog in places, and it could turn a little chilly out there too. Temperatures could get as low as around 5 degrees. So a bit of a nippy start for some on Thursday morning. Quite grey, gloomy out there to begin with. That will lift, and then hopefully you'll get to see a little bit of brightness. But overall, it will be quite a cloudy day, but it should be staying mostly dry. The winds are light, so if we do get any sunshine, not feeling too bad out there. Highs 14 or 15 degrees. 15 is 59 in Fahrenheit. And then looking further ahead towards Friday, well, we've still got the influence of this area of high pressure. As I say, there were lots of cloud. That cloud might be thick enough for a few spots of drizzle, but for most of us it will be dry. And then the weekend, well, those winds will be strengthening, and then outbreaks of rain arriving for some of us on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Well, it's definitely starting to feel chillier, isn't it? And that is Wales at 6. I'll be back with your late update after news at 10. Until then, from us, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.